muscle right here that floats in fascia that it can be torn pretty easily. So what you want to do is once you get a little bit started, hold all this together and then peel. That way this doesn't come up with the skin.
Right.
So you don't make a cut?
Nope, you don't need to. You can just pull it off like evening gloves. Like really tight socks.
Yes.
Yeah, Panther's a different story.
Going out to town.
You're in the splash.
What? She was in the splash. So.
Alright, once you get this, I'm not going to do it all the way, but once you get it off, you see there's tons of fascia here. All the muscles down here are parallel with each other. It's the best thing to do is try to find a border between two of them and take your curved forceps and stab right next to the border. So if you do go too deep, at least you're between muscles and not in a muscle. And then kind of wiggle your forceps down and break. And then do the same thing laterally. What you do, this is what it's going to look like. Okay. Now there are a lot of muscles here, so I suggest you memorize these in order. That's the best way to do it, all right? Because you can't really distinguish one from another very well. So I am going to do this. Sorry. All right. So try to separate the muscles into groups as either being medial or being lateral. And if you remember what I said about the leg, we're going to see a lot of similarities here. Do you remember what I said about the leg?
It'll have the L.
What's on the lateral side? The extensor, while on the medial side, that same thing's going to happen here. Okay? There are more muscles than that, but just try to keep that little tidbit in mind. All right, so the first muscle is this one right here that was floating in flat fascia. Try to get the fascia out from underneath it and have it floating just like this. All right, this one gets its name because it starts in this region and goes over this bone. You will need to know the bones here. Very good. This is your brachioradialis right here. Your radius is up here. Remember, towards the thumb, while down here is the ulna, and if you remember, your ulna makes up your elbow. There's the elbow. Okay, so ulna's here, radius is here. Try to keep that in mind. That's why this is called the brachioradialis. Okay? Right underneath the brachioradialis on the medial side, I want you to ignore for now. This is actually a muscle that's more towards the lateral side, even though you can see it here. I'm going to come back to this one. Underneath that, though, you get to this muscle here that is wide towards the elbow, but then kind of disappears into a tendon halfway down. It kind of looks like a triangle. So we see that muscle. All right, this muscle, every time. This muscle right here, all right, is responsible for this motion. Pronation, very good. This is called your pronator teres. All right, teres means to go around. You're spinning your arm around to make a pronation. All right, so that is this one right here. Good there. Pronator teres, T-E-R-E-S. All right, then after that, you have to be very careful because there are deeper muscles that can come out. So try to ignore those. You're gonna have this little tiny thin muscle here. Do you ever see that? All right, I want you to remember these next three muscles together. We have this thin one, we have this big shiny one, and then we have this semi-shiny one on the back side. All right. This same analogy can apply to the extensors on the other side, but two of these are going to be your flexors. And I want you to, whenever you hear the word carpi, I want you to think of bread to a sandwich, where you have carpis on the outside and then something in between them. Okay. So we're on the medial side, so we know they're flexors, right? And I just told you the second part, right? They're carpis. What do you think that means? See the carpals. These are flexor carpis, which means they flex the carpals. Okay. All right, but now we got to distinguish one from another. What would you name this one and why? Yes, flexor carpi radialis. And what about this one that's taking up the pretty much the whole backside of the arm? Yeah, flexor carpi ulnaris. This is over the ulna. This is over the radius. Radialis ulnaris. Good? Okay. Now let's talk about the meat and the sandwich. Everybody see this big shiny one here. This one gets its name because it goes straight to the center of the palm. Palmaris longus. This is a vestigial muscle in humans. We do not use it anymore, and it's shrinking over time, and some people have lost theirs entirely. So you could test to see if you have yours or not. So if you take your thumb and your ring finger, put them together, and then flex your wrist like that. All right. So ever see my wrist here? Do you see 3 tendons? 1, 2, and 3? That's because I still have my palmaris longus right here in the center. These on the other side are the flexors I just showed you. Okay? So flexor, palmaris longus, flexor. Now mine on my left side is pronounced enough to see it through the skin. I can't see it on my right side, which means either it's not pronounced enough or I don't have one at all on this side. Okay. Now, Look at the cats
have
though.
one.
This is the cat's palmaris longus. All right, what do you think they're using this for? It's pretty pronounced in a cat.
I think I have
Yeah. Yeah, when they're running on all fours, that's what they're using it for. We haven't done that in hundreds of thousands of years, right? But what is our closest living relative in the animal kingdom? Well, more specific. Chimpanzees. Chimpanzees still have a very pronounced palmaris longus because they still walk on all fours. Okay. All right, good there?
Yes.
All right, let's recap these real quick. What's the satellite one? Brachioradialis. Good. Then this one we are ignoring because it's technically a lateral muscle, right? Then we have this triangle here. Pronator teres. We're going to ignore this one because I accidentally pulled it out. What's this thinner one right here? Flexor carpi radialis. Good. The big shiny one that goes into the palm. Palmaris longus. And then on the other side of that, taking up pretty much the whole back side of the arm here. Flexor carpi ulnaris. That's the medial side. All right.
That's not bad.
No, not at all. No. All right, let's do the lateral side now.
Oh, okay.
Here's this again. Brachioradialis. Very good. All right, every other muscle on this side is going to have extensor in the name. And I want you to remember that little sandwich analogy I told you. All right, so we're going to have a piece of bread, we're going to have a meat, another meat, and then another piece of bread.
Okay.
So they're all extensors.
Double burger.
What are the breads? What word are we going to find in the breads? Carpies. Good. The carpies are on the outside. The ones in the center are going to be digitorums because they're not going to extend the wrist. They're going to extend the what?
Your finger.
Your fingers. Very good. Okay. What would you name this bread right here? Farther than I want to see it, but yeah. This is your extensor carpi radialis right here. What about this bread over here? It's also kind of shiny like the palmaris.
Bless you.
Yep, extensor carpi ulnaris. Very good. All right, good there. All right, I'm gonna just work this way because I like going in this order. So here's my extensor carpi radialis. Then we have our first piece of meat. So what word are we gonna have in this? This is an extensor digitorum. This one is called the extensor digitorum communis, and that's because it has two heads right here that come together towards the elbow, like a community comes together. Okay. Extensor digitorum communis. And then the other piece of meat is the most lateral out of all of these. Extensor digitorum lateralis. Very good.
Can you say the name of the other one again?
This is extensor digitorum communis.
Okay.
And extensor digitorum lateralis. All right, so just one more time, we have extensor carpi radialis, extensor digitorum communis, extensor digitorum lateralis, and then extensor carpi ulnaris. And if you notice, your extensor carpi ulnaris is right next to the flexor carpi ulnaris on the other side. I gotta make it more complicated than that, I'm sorry.
Okay, fine.
I'm gonna go back to this muscle right here. What was this one called again?
Is that the extensor carpi radialis?
Yes, extensor carpi radialis. It's actually two muscles, one folded over the other.
Yay.
Now I don't expect you to separate the two out. This is how I'm gonna ask these questions. The one that you see more on the lateral side here is the longer of the two, while the one that you see on the medial side that I told you to skip before
The shorter?
is shorter of the two. Good. So what would be the full name for this longer one on the outside?
Extensor carpi radialis longus.
Extensor carpi radialis longus. Now the one that's shorter that you can see more on the medial side is the
Extensor carpi radialis
brevis. Brevis means short. It's the same root word as brevity. Okay. All right. Everybody good there? There's one more muscle. If you can get it out, fantastic. It is a darker muscle that curves around the elbow right here. Its job is mainly to hold down these muscles. It anchors them down. That's your anconius. Okay. All right. Do you want to recap these real quick?
Yes.
Wait.
Okay. We still got an hour. We're good. All right. What's this?
That's your
Brachioradialis. What's this full name?
the extensor carpi radialis longus.
Longest. Very good. What's this one?
That's the flexor digitorum.
Extensor.
Oh, extensor digitorum.
Communis.
Communis.
Very
Okay.
good. And then this one?
Extensor digitorum
Lateralis. And then this bigger shiny one?
Extensor carpi.
Ulnaris. This one. And Anconius. Good. And this one right here now.
Extensor digitor
Brevis. Very good. So the extensor carpi radialis brevis is just above pronator teres. Okay. All right. That is all the muscles that can be a part of